I believe we live in a new era for marketing and branding because the way that the market is going, where over thousands of apps are being launched every single month or every single couple of months, and there are people who are working on genuinely scaling 20 apps or more. There are people who are funding millions and millions of dollars on just the advertising and the commercializing of their apps. We need to find new ways to launch our products for us to stand out in this big crowd of people who are trying to genuinely catch the next big hit. There is this misconception where people focus so much on just the idea, period. They believe that if their patent, if their innovation was actually better than the other, if it was something new and very practical, then it's going to be standing from the other and nobody can actually compete. And the product will sell itself on itself and nobody can do anything about it. But this misconception will continuously hunt you until you lose every chance for you to even go popular to begin with, not even get any sort of sales. Companies do not fail because they don't have a bad idea or a good idea. Companies fail because they actually don't understand the system and how to execute their ideas right. And the companies you think blow up overnight actually have followed a very specific playbook. So today we're going to be breaking down how startup launched in 2026 for them to actually stand out using real examples that actually work in today's era and how you can actually copy them into your specific startup idea. First, we need to understand that the best way for you to actually launch your product is to start by actually not taking forever to build your product. You need to not use this old method where people used to build for 6 to 12 methods on something that was very basic. Today, we have the capability to produce something that is very, very well and good in just a couple of months. So why don't you take that way and not take forever to launch a product that is just as anything in the system? So there is no such thing as a big launch. This is something we need to get right. Back then, people used to take like 6 to a year months to launch their product, and then after they launch it, they go on Product Hunt or on Twitter and wish to get like maybe 10% signups. 10 to 20 people who would sign up, and from there things would continue. But today it's a very different era where there's millions of people who are posting. There is thousands of apps on these product launch and micro launch in many of these apps. So it does not really function as well as back then. I'm telling you, you cannot really get those high numbers of subscription and all of that from those apps. So you need to dominate and focus on certain things that actually will get you to where you want, which is basically organic and non-organic exposure. What makes organic growth way much more better than any other ways that you can be using is that because it's way much more less expensive. Let's come across a simple method or example. The new way for startups is to even launch before the product even exists. You go to public and you talk about the product and how you are having this challenge or having this kind of period of your life where you are working on this product, and you go and talk to people. You talk on people that are just commenting on your post, people who would be interested, anything that is has to do with your specific customer. You go and you focus on these people and you try to get the ideas out of them. You have to get what is their problem, what is the main problem in this product that you can give them through your value, and from there you continue on working on that. The new way through which startups launch before they even exist. They build in public and they sell before the product is even finished. And they try to get users before even the product has been coded and so on. Because you need to get customers and talk to people before you're even there. This is a necessity where a lot of people right now are working, or maybe after a launch, I will have to go to these users, but maybe your product is not even good. Maybe your product is not something that was needed by these people. When you go and talk to customers, when you go and find those people that are interested in your product, you will have people that are already ready to pay for your product. So focus on this and make sure that your product is something that people will have to pay for, because otherwise it's just going to not really help you out across the long run. When we look at companies like Airbnb, which is very classic, but they actually became huge because they did not build a full platform. They just made a very simple website, like it was very, very simple. And they took a photos of apartment themselves and they validated demand first by the people and then they actually launched the product. They did not build a very big complete product. They formed a very kind of like basic way to validate their idea was actually working for their customers. When we look at Stripe as well, they did not just launch, they went directly to developers, they personally onboarded early users, they helped them integrate manually, and they grew through high touch onboarding, and they got even their first 100 users that felt like they were genuinely VIB clients. They did not feel like they were just random customers. They were people that they went into directly, which have helped them to get their first users and getting that paycheck. Today, we also have advertising through UGC and humans, which is a very, very good thing because if you can choose a certain people, ambassadors, content creators, influencers, and just pay them maybe a couple of $1,000s, you can get yourself thousands and thousands of customers. We have seen this with a lot of influencers that are mainly focused on maybe restaurants or productivity tools. These people are trusted by their audience, and the way they talk about things can genuinely give them millions of views. There was this one specific game that was very boring. Like I think it just put on boxes into the game and stuff like that. It's just the worst game that anyone could ever play. But this game made over 500 million users through a very simple method, which is basically influencer and ads sort of marketing. This was mainly their entire way of marketing their products. They did not need to do any other thing. They just focused on having the biggest influencers in the world show their product in their creative ways, and this is how they focused on. And this way was the way that they understood the power of marketing and branding of their. It's also very important to understand the importance of scale. Quantity can genuinely beat quality, and this is something that many people do not understand. It doesn't matter if you have the best product. Someone who has inferior like quality, inferior mindset, innovation, or commercialization, but they can still beat you because they are way much more faster in working on their product, in commercializing it, in talking about their product, and in putting it out there. If they are faster than you, if they do things faster than you, they are gonna be the ones who are gonna beat you. Because if you take like a couple of months just to put things out there, you do not understand how fast the technology is going, especially right now. Like these stories of companies that were being beaten by days, these were happening like since the like thousands of years ago. So imagine today where technology is going very, very fast per day. Like there's a lot of Google or Gemini updates are having today that I think are really kind of like taking over if you actually focus on them rather than going to these companies. And a lot of them are going to be done by the next years. We've seen a lot of companies who died out very fast because they could not really continue on paying all of these expensive ways that the AI operates. So they have to go out even though they spend millions of dollars in funding. So yeah. You also have to speak through a language that people care and understand. If you care for money or sales and comfort, you have to be clear to get this point across. This product is genuinely going to get you that. And you have to have a clear kind of like explanation to what does your product actually solve and help people with. Talking to customers, it's something very important, and I've heard YC always talk about these things. You have to be careful and be sure that you talk to people, because when you talk to people you do not lose anything, but you gain either a customer or you gain some sort of an insight that would get you to know more about the product and more than that.